Have you ever felt stuck in your English journey? You study, you memorize, but when it's time to speak, your mind goes blank and your first impulse is to give up. I have been there so many times, and that's why I opened this YouTube channel to talk about the part of learning English that no one else talks. The fear, the shame, the mental blocks. I bring these things to the surface because I truly believe that the mindset behind learning a new language is much more important than memorizing all of the English rules. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you shouldn't study English. I personally study a lot of grammar, which is a part of the English that I have a lot of difficulty. But no matter how much you study, if you don't have the courage to put it into practice, unfortunately, you won't move to the next level in your English journey. And I have been working a lot during my English journey to build a positive, strong mindset so I can see mistakes as part of the process of learning, so I can focus on my growth. And I consider this an essential part of my English journey. I would say this is what gives me the courage to use English no matter what. So today I want to share some powerful lessons that I learned from a book I read. It's about how to build mental toughness, discipline, and resilience from the mindset of a U.S. Navy SEAL. If you don't know, Navy SEALs are the elite special forces of the United States, and they are trained to work on high-risk missions on sea, air, and land. They are known for their courage, discipline, resilience, and actually have a lot to learn with Navy SEALs about building a positive mindset. I'm sure that if you apply these principles to your English journey, you'll be more likely to succeed. Let's dive in, and of course, like always, we'll learn a lot of new words and expressions together. You're responsible for everything. There is a mantra that Navy SEALs use a lot, which says, there's no one else to blame, everything is your fault. Many times during our English journey, when we were struggling with English, we tend to blame someone else. We tend to think, why is this so difficult? Why I didn't have the chance to learn English when I was young if you're learning in your adulthood as I am? Why I wasn't approved in that job interview? And it's just this feeling that everything is so hard for me. And that's the type of mindset that we need to avoid. To blame someone else when you should take ownership of all of these things that bother us. Even though in some situations, it might be someone else's fault. But it doesn't matter. If we accept this negative mindset, we will be stuck with it, and we won't be able to make progress. I'm not sharing this because I am a master of a positive mindset. At the same time, I'm sharing these lessons with you. I am internalizing them myself. This is a challenge for everyone, no matter what is your level of English or, where you live. So I want to invite you to think about your go-to excuse. A go-to excuse is something you always say when you don't want to take responsibility for something, let's say your English journey. And I have a list of some of these excuses that I used a lot, and I still struggle to break free from them. Let's start with the first. I don't have time. I don't have time to learn English. I work a lot, I have family. I don't have time. I don't live in an English-speaking country. I used to use this excuse a lot, when I was in that phase of the English journey where I needed to start speaking, to put it into practice, everything I was studying. And I was using this excuse, to avoid exposing myself and taking risks. And it just doesn't make any sense because with internet today, we can speak with people from different countries. I'll wait until I feel more confident to speak. So if I would be waiting until I feel confident to speak, I would be waiting until today because I still struggle with confidence. And this is one excuse that stopped me from taking action so many times during my English journey. People will judge my accent. I don't know where you are right now, but if you're from Brazil like me, we struggle so much with this because, we don't want people to judge our accent. English is not commonly spoken in Brazil, so there's always this feeling of what will people think about my accent. I'm too old to learn. This is another one. For most of us, especially if you're from Brazil like me, we are learning English during our adult life. And there are so many things happening in parallel with our English studies. Of course, these things are true, but we can't use these things as excuses because they won't change. You know, we are adults now, we'll need to learn anyway. So we need to create a plan to achieve the things that we want according to our currently situation, no matter if the situation is fair or if it's unfair. That's not the point. So if I want to learn English or to use English, instead of looking to all of the unfair things that happen to me or to looking to blame someone else, I should be spending time working on a plan to improve my English and to start using my English. This is the principle of taking responsibility. You need to have a why and a burning desire. I have talked about this expression and these words here before. I learned this expression from another book about overcoming our fears from Napoleon Hill. And a burning desire is something that we really want, you know, and no matter what happens, you will pursue your goal because you are really determined to do that. Only 10 to 20% of the men who sign up to the Navy SEALs program graduate, while the rest give up. There is a part of the program called Hell Week, which is the hardest moment for this man, mentally and physically. And it's really interesting because this Hell Week is the moment where most of these men, they are not able to endure until the end of the program. And I was reflecting here that as non-native speakers, we also have our Hell Weeks, let's say Hell moments during our English journey. You know, those moments when you forget the words, you know, you are denied in all job interviews you do, that you repeat the same grammar mistakes so many times that it seems like it's part of yourself and you will never be able to improve. You just can't overcome these things. No, it's like there's no hope. There's no chance to get better. I feel like giving up is the only option. And here comes the power of having a burning desire, because these men from Navy SEAL have a burning desire to finish the program, to become a Navy SEAL. And this desire separates those who will finish the program from those who will eventually give up. If you really want to learn English, to use this language to improve your life, no matter what happens, you won't give up, because this burning desire will constantly burning inside you and give you the courage, the strength, the discipline that you need to move forward. You have to want to win. You have to want to win so badly, losing is not even a possibility for you. If you feel that way, there's no obstacle the instructors can put in front of you that you won't figure out how to get past. A burning desire is essential, it's important, but when you're going through very hard moments, stressful moments, even with a burning desire, it might be hard to move forward and to not give up. And that's why the other principle of Navy SEALs is to have a mental trigger to overcome hard moments. So a trigger is a mental image of one thing in this world that is most important to you. It might be your family, it might be seeing your parents proud of you. No matter what, it must be something for which you would endure anything. When you are in an incredibly difficult or dangerous situation, pull the trigger. Your trigger serves as the ultimate motivation to get through the crisis at hand. When I first started to learn English, I had some incredible hard moments, and I didn't know too much about mindset and all of that, but I remember I had some mental triggers. Even though I didn't know the principle of a mental trigger, I had those mental triggers, and today I can see clearly that they helped me to, at first my trigger was being able to read books in English, to consume content in English, and to have access to things that I wasn't able to access before, only through my native language. And every time I wanted to give up, I remembered myself of how my life would be if I would be able to read articles in English, to maybe study abroad. When I finally, was able to study in an international program, my trigger was seeing myself graduating from that program and showing the certificate to my family. So every time I wanted to give up, I pulled that trigger, this image of myself getting this certificate and show it to my family. Some years ago, when I finished this program, my trigger was seeing myself speaking English fluently during meetings with international companies and performing my job as a content writer in English. Every time I wanted to give up, I pulled that trigger, that self-image of myself writing content in English and having meetings in English. So what's your mental trigger? Find one and pull it every time you feel like giving up during your English journey. Have a system and be self-disciplined. Navy SEALs create systems for almost everything they do in order to have more efficiency. As English learners, we can have our own routine and system to achieve our goals with English. For example, a short morning practice. We can write in English, we can read an article in English during the morning, you can listen to a podcast in English, and we'll be training very important skills, which are reading and listening. When English becomes part of your daily routine, you don't need to overthink things like how to introduce yourself, how to have conversation in English. These things start to become part of who you are. Navy SEALs set goals and they break them down into little chunks. And why is this important? If you read the book, you'll see that during the program, they noticed that the men who succeed in the Navy SEAL program are not those with a big goal, but those who break down this big goal into little chunks, which are, like little goals. Rather than allowing their mind to flood with images of the countless days of pain and suffering yet to come, they focus only on getting through what they are doing right now. And I really like this principle because when you have a big goal, it might feel overwhelming sometimes. And I remember when I first started learning English, I had the goal to communicate in English, to speak in English. And it felt really overwhelmed because it would take me time until I would be able to achieve that level. So I needed to break that big goal into little goals to make progress. Otherwise, I would be only focusing on how it would be hard to communicate in English. And those little goals like reading in English every day, at least 5 minutes, watching to something in English, listening to podcasts, speaking with someone, those little goals contributed for me to achieve my big goal of talking in English. As Navy SEALs say, how do you eat an elephant? One bit at a time, so stay focused on the next bit. The author also talks about some techniques to control your state of mind and your body, which also makes part of this mental and physical struggles that we have, but you need to read the book to see these techniques because they're a lot. I like the principle from Navy SEALs of doing after action rebuilds. SEALs, they have a plan, they follow the plan, and they deal with reality the best way they can. So when mistakes happen, they analyze what happened and they learn a lesson from those mistakes so they can do it differently next time. And we should do the same. After every English interaction, you need to do a after action review. You can ask yourself, what did I do well? Where did I struggle? What can I learn from this? I do it on countless times after a meeting, after a conversation with someone, why people were not understanding my idea during that meeting. And I keep asking myself those questions because I need to understand where I am making mistakes so I can change it. Sometimes when you feel we are done with something, we don't have more energy to do something, it's just our mind deceiving us. And here comes the 40% rule of Navy SEALs. The Navy SEAL would say that when your mind is telling you're done, you're really only 40% done. As I said, your capacity to learn English and to improve your English is much bigger than your mind tells you. So when you think you can't master a grammar rule, you can't improve your pronunciation, you're probably only 40% done. For contingencies, that's a hard word for me. Contingencies. What I really liked about the Navy SEALs is that if they have a mission to accomplish, they won't allow anything to stop them. Even with such big determination, they can't control the external circumstances. Kind of imagine things that could go wrong, and they prepare a contingency plan. Just like Navy SEALs prepare for things that might go wrong, we need to do the same. During our English journey, we will face unexpected challenges like you will forget words, you will freeze in conversation. This is something that is possible to happen. But if you expect these things and you plan for them, things will be much more easier. So let's say you forgot a word. You can rephrase or describe it. I do it a lot in English, during meetings at my job. Sometimes I forgot a word and I try to rephrase what I said, or I try to describe what I'm trying to say. You will feel unmotivated sometimes. And during these times, you can reconnect with your why, your burning desire, why you started to learn English. And these are things that you can definitely expect in your English journey. And you need to be prepared to face those contingencies. Navy SEALs maintain focus and concentration no matter what they're doing. If you're learning English, you will also need focus and concentration. If you daydream for a split second on the battlefield, that could mean your life and the life of one of your brothers. We might not be in the battlefield as the Navy SEALs, but our focus still matters. We have our own mission to accomplish with English, and we can't allow our attention to go to the wrong places. So try to identify what's stealing your focus and concentration and work to be more present. Your English learning will be much more successful. Last, listen. I can give you a class all day long about self-talk, visualization, but if you never put yourself in a situation to actually practice these things, you're never gonna grow. English is not different. You can study grammar, vocabulary, everything, all of the principles, the concepts. But if you never expose yourself to practice the language, you won't grow. You'll be stuck in your English journey. And you feel you are wasting time. You'll feel you're not making progress. You feel that all your efforts are being wasted because you're not seeing a real result in your life. So you can choose to speak up, to join conversations in English, and to accept that you will make mistakes and to learn from it. So let's review all of these principles that are part from the Navy SEAL mindset and we can apply to the English journey. Take full responsibility. There's no one else to blame. Find your why and burning desire. Why do you want to speak English or to use English? Use mental triggers. So when you are feeling discouraged, you pull your mental trigger and you keep moving forward. Build a system and have self-discipline. Try to incorporate English in your daily routine and have a structured system to actually use English in your life. Set small and actionable goals. You might have this big goal of learning English, but you need to set small little goals to make progress so you don't focus too much on all of the challenges ahead. That will make you feel discouraged. Push past the 40% mark. Review and improve. After each interaction in English, review that interaction, make questions to yourself, and try to think about things you should improve. Have for contingencies. What do you think that might go wrong doing an interaction in English? Plan for that and also plan how you're going to react. Preserve your focus and concentration. Identify what's stealing your focus and your concentration. Practice, and practice. Put yourself in real situations, no matter how hard it might be. I hope this video encourages you to take responsibility of your English journey and to apply these principles to become the best version of yourself in English. If you like videos like this, where I share my book notes and apply them to learning English, I have a playlist here where you can find more. Thank you for being here, and I wish you all the success in your English journey.